observations will come. As you might remember, I touched upon the life of the man, the Rumi, or as we call him more frequently and more usually Maulana, in the last session, and I said a little bit about two major works which are the main heritage from Rumi among us, the Masnavi and Divan. For the Divan, we would actually postpone it until later time, but this time, at this session, I'm going to say something about the Masnavi, the major book, didactic book of Rumi, and the way it was produced, it was born, and a little bit about the content of the book. As I said, it is a major work. It consists of more than 25,000 verses, roughly twice as the Divine Comedy of Dante, and you cannot, so my voice to myself is quite loud, quite audible. I understand what I'm saying and I hear what I'm saying. Oh, can you hear me now? Okay, fine. So sorry about that. Just I was saying that Masnavi, which is one of the two major works by Rumi, is the didactic one. He has got two books, Divan, which means a collection of poems, of odes and sonnets, and then he has got the Masnavi, which Masnavi is a general word, and this and applies to a style of poetry. But since Rumi, the word Masnavi is applied solely on his book, and his book, when we say Masnavi, this means that it is Rumi's and nobody else's, though there are many works under the same name in Persian literature, but in all other cases we have to add the name of the poet, such as Masnavi of Attar, of Sana'i, of Nizami, and many others. But in the case of Rumi, we never add this, and this general noun here means what it means. And it is unmistakable. It is Rumi's, no doubt, and no mistake about it. So it is in 2 volumes, as you say, actually 2 volumes now, but it is in 6 books. And it was written, just I am using the word written because I am speaking in English. We cannot use this word because it was not originally and literally written. It was just performed and uttered by the Rumi, and then others, his disciples and students, took it down and put it in writing and produced the work. We are not even sure whether Rumi edited and re-edited the work or not. There are differences of opinions. This gentleman thinks that there was no edition, no re-edition, nothing. And it was just what he said, and he never went back to what he said before, because he was new, he was fresh every day. He never thought about what he did before, what he said before, and you wouldn't see any allusion in this big work in Rumi to say that we have said this before, and just go back and read it, or refer his readers and the students to what he had said before. That is, you wouldn't find it in Masnavi, especially in Divan, you wouldn't at all, but in Masnavi maybe once or twice. Therefore, he was somehow even unaware of what he said and what he did. As I said, every day he was fresh, and he came without any plan in mind, sat down, his friends around him. I said every day, but that was every evening actually, and with his disciples and students around, and he just poured out what he thought and what he had in his mind and in his heart, and the very fresh experience of that evening actually, without any pre-planning. So that was how the Masnavi was born, was produced. And because of this, the book actually is a work of free associations, I would say. That was the main style or the main criterion by which he produced the work. He just started off with a thought, an idea in mind, he expanded it, he elaborated on it, and then suddenly something else quite relevant to what he said, or sometimes seemingly even irrelevant, came to his mind, and he went on, moved ahead, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it took him the whole evening until the dawn. I will read you the poems that he says that it is now dawn and we have stayed up the whole night. So that was how actually the Masnavi was produced. It is the product of about 14 years of the life of Rumi. He started it off exactly 14 years before his death and stopped at his death. He didn't stop because he didn't have anything to say. He didn't stop because that was not according to his plan. Actually, the death stopped him, and that was terminated by the termination, by the end of his life. Now, the main difference between Masnavi as a book, as a major work, and Divan as a collection of his sonnets is this, that the Masnavi is didactic, as I said. It is the product of the state of the sobriety of the mind of Rumi. But Divan is the product of the ecstatic and the trance state of his soul. So when he was intoxicated, actually, he produced odes and sonnets. But when he was sober, as a teacher, he sat down with his disciples and students. Actually, he wrote, so to speak, these poems in Masnavi. So that is the main difference between the two works. Because of that, there are so many commentaries written in many languages, in Arabic, in Turkish, in Persian, and of course in English by Nicholson, on Masnavi. But you wouldn't find even a single commentary on Divan, because it is absolutely uninterpretable. You have to read it for yourself, and you have to digest it for yourself, and you have to have some sort of sympathetic understanding, a kind of empathy with the author of the work. You have to enter his world in order to get some whiff, some sense, and some meaning of what he has said. But in the case of Masnavi, of course, it has been a book for teaching, and now it's about 7 centuries that students of mysticism, of Sufism, have been reading the book, have been commenting on it, have been asking questions about it, and these questions, observations, comments, all now we have got them in various collections in Persian, Turkish, Arabic, etc. So here you are facing a teacher actually sitting and teaching in earnest and in seriousness to his students. Nevertheless, sometimes actually during the Masnavi telling, let us use this expression, he enters a state of trance, and as if he is now ready to produce his odes and sonnets. Therefore, there are verses and poems in Masnavi which are very, very similar indeed to the pure imaginative poetry, which has nothing to do with didactic things, didactic style. At that time, actually, as if Rumi were not in this world, did not see his students, were not in the classroom, nothing. He just was thinking for himself and just producing things, pouring out what was there in his heart. So we can call those parts of Masnavi the sonnets of Masnavi, as distinct from the sonnets in the Divan. Actually, I have collected the sonnets of Masnavi in a volume. Those parts of Masnavi is very, very unsimilar to the rest of Masnavi, but that comprises maybe a tenth, even less than that, of Masnavi. The rest are didactic, as I said, and are there for students and teachers to read and to learn about the